So EIBs, when we move to EIB's Enterprise Interface Builder, these are the first set of integration experience that you are going to get when we move from the report as a service, which was used as the initial phase of integration, report as a service, with the advanced report and web service enabled. The second step into the integration world is the EIBs. And EIBs are basically divided into two parts, inbound and outbound. Until now, the report structure that we discussed was only for the outbound type. That means you can only share data from Workday to outside world. So that was outbound in nature. So when we talk about the inbound ones first, so when you go into the integration world and you come across with the inbound EIBs. So inbound EIBs are something which works inbound to Workday, when you have some data and you want to update that data into Workday. Now the basic idea behind creating the inbound integrations, which is not initially meant for integration consultants, but since you, as a functional consultant, are doing, and sometimes data team use it a lot. But it is not kindly meant for the integration consultants. You probably will not see. But since it is an integration and you should know the idea behind how it works, if sometimes you have to use to ease your work, then you can use it. Also, it kind of lays a foundation for the inbound traffic coming into Workday. How does Workday behave and how does Workday operate on the inbound data model? So the inbound EIBs works on the template basis. So when you create the inbound EIBs, it asks for a template. So there is a template associated with each inbound EIB that you create, which is kind of mandatory as well. So you choose a template that what kind of an inbound operation you want to do. Now your inbound operation is limited to the number of templates available to you to choose from the inbound EIB when you're going to create it. And each template refers to a business process in the background which kind of runs and inserts or completes your data and committed to Workday. So similar way that you do the task using the UI. You want to hire someone. You want to perform the request one-time payment for people. You want to perform the change of for people. So it is, rather than I would say. It's kind of an inbound integration. It's more like an operation to perform bulk tasks using the templates, rather than going one by one into the tenant and doing the UI operations. This is a way wherein you are being given a flexibility by Workday wherein you can do the multiple inserts or multiple data load, for which you would take a lot of time doing it one by one in the UI. So it's kind of a replacement to perform the mass data load using the EIB. That is the main importance of using the EIB. It does not have any kind of complex situations wherein it can give you some formatting for the inbound files. It has a separate set of template. Template has some set of operations which it performs, basically one-to-one relation, that it will trigger a business process inside Workday and load your data. So the template gets generated when you create the EIB and the defined format is there for the template. You have to fill the template and then, once the template is correct, your data will be loaded. Now, when your template resides in this EIB and which interacts with the business process inside Workday. So it is the same thing which is being done. It's a parallel task which you would do using the UI. Same type of operations happens when you do using the EIB. You have some sort of failed rows. You have some sort of past rows, the data, which is wrong. You'll just go and update it again. Some set of data is positive, which gets loaded. So in the background, when we talk about how does Workday understands EIB. So when we say there is a template, there's a business process. as I must have told you that there are web services in Workday. So this EIB inbound also uses the web services architecture to update the data in Workday. So, since it is inbound, it would be using the inbound web services, which we have also seen that put to a particular put web service, manage web services, change the web services. So these are like inbound in nature. So Oh, the ones you mentioned, I don't think we discussed. We just discussed the brief. Like. It is just like outline how web services will be used in Workday. But nothing specifically which on the web service. So if I go here, so there is a SOAP APIs page in Workday. Which is given by Workday, which is public in nature. So it has the list of web services that Workday supports, divided between the different modules. So, if I've just clicked here, this is the kind of homepage where you have several modules listed here: learning, human resources, payroll staffing, recruitment, time tracking. So these are all the different sections mentioned here, and inside each section, there is a bunch of web services which it supports. So if I just go click on, where is my human resources? So let's say, if I just click on human resources here, it's a clickable link. Here you will see all the web services which are part of the human resources folder. Here you see all the web services. So the web services which are starting with the change, edit, manage, add, assign. So these words sounds like inbound in nature, wherein these web services are inbound. That means using these web services, you can upload some data into Workday. The ones which you see with the get. These are mostly like the ones which are outbound in nature. That means you use them to get some data from Workday and then share it to the outside world. So the ones in the get nature are outbound. Manage, put. All these things are inbound in nature. So, since EIB is an inbound integration, the first part is inbound integration. So EIB also uses behind the business processes, uses the web services architecture. Wherein it asks, because Workday only understands XML. Workday does not understand any other language, for the inbound operations at least. It also the default output is also XML, and the input XML input type is also XML. You have to accept for the REST APIs architecture. The SOAP APIs only understands the XML, and you need to give them the proper XML format. Only then the data can be consumed and loaded in Workday. So when you create the EIB, these are the things that are used inside our task, right? Because when I see, say for example, in human resources, there are like change legal name and stuff. So I have seen like specific business process to change it. So it means that these are okay inside of VP. Yeah, but when you create the EIBs, you don't get to choose the sections, as it is mentioned here, human resources in there, you just directly choose the template. So, whatever the things that you want to do, you want to update the business title, you want to perform the request one-time payment. So you just search for the template and that template gets available directly, whichever it is, whatever operation you want to do. Here it is segregated. For you to understand that how it works. So you choose a template in the EIB. And that template has a respective business process associated with that. So when you trigger that integration based on the template, Workday accordingly triggers that particular business process for you. Now the template that we talk about, that